Alrighty, so welcome everyone. Thank you for coming and thank you for having your cameras on. We love to see all your happy faces. So tonight we will be having an art talk with none other than Miss Emily Elkins herself, the coordinator for the Creative Arts LLP, of which we were all so graciously a part of.
Oh, you're
So
just on
yeah,
there? I mean, my name's on it. Wait, where's my? Oh.
awesome. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and kick it off. So Emily, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Emily Elkins. I am the Creative Arts Living Learning Program Coordinator, as well as the College of Fine Arts Summer Programs Coordinator. So when I don't have on my LLP hat, I shift gears and I support the college in their summer programs. And I have been the kind of the liaison for the Governor's School for the Arts, who have been on campus unfortunately only 1 year since I started. And even more unfortunate is I was on maternity leave for that first year. So I did all the planning and coordinating and helped them get ready, and then I didn't even get to see it. That was unfortunate, but we're hoping that we will have a COVID friendly summer program this year for the GSA students. So that's my second hat. And I have been in this position since August of 2018. And I have an undergraduate degree here from UK in anthropology, and I have an emphasis in archaeology and a minor in art history. And then I also completed my master's degree through the CFA Arts Administration Master's Program in 2017. So that's kind of my education. I can talk more about the positions I've been in. I started off as an archaeologist. So very different career move that I made now working with you all. But yeah, that was my focus coming out of undergrad. I worked at the Kentucky Archaeological Survey that was actually here on campus. Well, it was off Export Street across from the Dairy Queen down over, I can't remember what road that is. Like Jet's Pizza area, where that is. So I worked there. It was in an old abandoned tobacco barn, and there was no air conditioner or heater. That was really fun. I worked there part time in undergrad, and then worked there full time. And then we moved to Colorado for my husband, who was in the Army active duty, and I was able to work in museums over there. And then I ended up in a philanthropy foundation, working with a program and then with grants. So that's kind of my background. I'm sure we'll get into it with all the other questions that Devin's going to ask me.
Yeah. So next question for you is, as a child, what was your dream job?
So I was starting to think about that, and I couldn't really remember what my dream job was. Like, goodness, I feel like I'm not that old, but I mean, themes, I guess. I didn't really have like, I'm going to be a firefighter or I'm going to be a dancer. It was, I grew up in a family of educators. So I always had that in the back of my mind, almost as a plan B. Like, well, whatever I do, I could always teach because it's in my blood, right? I could figure it out. And I actually changed my major in undergrad to elementary education. And then I worked in a daycare for about 6 months. And I was like, nope, I'm changing my mind. I don't think I want to do that. Um, I also was a swimmer growing up. So I thought I was going to be an Olympic medalist swimmer because I'm very tall and everyone said I had big feet so I could swim fast. So that was also my plan. I also thought I was going to be a Broadway star and I was going to be
Don't we all?
right. Yes. I mean, and you guys can do it. I wasn't confident myself. So I thought I was going to Broadway. I loved theater through school. I loved making movies. I've recently found one of my childhood movies that I created, which is terrible, but it was really great to see myself as a potential actor. And then in high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I loved all the arts, theater, choir, band, visual arts. I loved all of it. I didn't know what to do. And when I took a high school career assessment, it said arts manager. And I was like, what is that? Like that, I can't do that. I don't know what that is. And completely just dismissed it. And goodness, if I would have just looked into that further, I could have found arts administration earlier and I would have known exactly what I wanted to do and not gone through this big loop that I pretty much created for myself. But yeah, so I didn't really have like a full dream job. It was more of I had all the things and I wanted to do all of it. And it ended up where I'm at, which I will say is my dream job. Like I've come full circle. I really, really, really enjoy what I do here.
Well, awesome. So we've already touched on it a little bit, but can you give us a little bit more about your background and all your educational experience so far?
Sure. Yeah. See, look, I skipped the question just like all the speakers that do the exact same thing. So I'll just touch a little bit more. So when I was an archaeologist, I traveled throughout all of Kentucky, and we did multiple different digs, or we did just like site visits just to see if there was anything cultural within the space. So I've been all throughout Kentucky, Western Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky, climbing up Black Mountain in Harlan County, which was horrible, to working in a sinkhole area in Western Kentucky, which was also horrible. And I mean, I loved it. The being out in the field was difficult. I was very much in shape then, but so not so much now. I think I would die if I had to go back out into the field. And it was great in like the fall and the spring, but summer months were really tough. So I transitioned into working more in the lab towards the end of my time there, which was really fun because I worked more in public archaeology and programming for instructors or educators about archaeology and what it is and how it relates to history and the culture and that sort of thing. I also worked in some of the curated pieces, some of the different sites that we had to curate. I worked a lot with human remains, which was really cool. I loved it. I not so much like the very like I like bones. I don't like fleshiness. Like that's disgusting. I can't handle that. But like bones were really cool and learning about people's lives through their bones and what their story can be through that. So that was really interesting. And then I met my husband and we had a little girl named Violet. Some of you might have met her. She's 6 now. But I decided it probably wouldn't be the best idea to try to work in the field with a newborn. So that's when I um, made the bold move to apply for the Arts Administration Master's program with a newborn. So that was fun. She was born in August, and I started the master's program in August. So everyone thought I was crazy, and I think that kind of pushed me more to do it. Like, oh, that's going to be too hard. Maybe you should focus on one or the other. And I'm like, no, I'm going to do it all because you told me I can't, so I'm going to do it. And I did. And it was great because it was online. And my husband really was thinking about joining the military and he wanted to be active duty. And I was like, well, fine, let's go. I can do this online. I can do it from anywhere. So it was excellent timing to kind of switch gears. I will say that some of the curriculum for arts administration was hard for me because I came from an archaeology background and cultural background. So some of my answers to some of like the arts questions that you arts admin students might have were hard for me to take a spin on it. So I was the student in the class that kept talking about culture and society and all of those things. So that was fun. And then in Colorado, I worked at the Colorado Springs Pioneers Museum. I don't know if any of you were there the in the fall art talk. We had Megan Poole who came to talk. about, she was a program coordinator there. And so she was my boss when I worked there, and that was really fun. And then my biggest career move, which, Devin's going to ask that question soon, was about, oh my goodness, Mason. Hi, sorry guys. I see Mason. Mason was a peer mentor from last year. Now you got me all frazzled. I'm not going to know what I'm talking about. Okay, anyway.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you.
No, it's okay. Oh, I'm so happy to see you. That's wonderful. So finally, in Colorado, I worked at LLP Foundation. Started off as a deputy director for a program of 300 participants and worked with lots of volunteers, community partners, and 4 college host site representatives. And after doing that for a year, I got a second job on top of that. So they just doubled my duties, which, that's always fun when your boss tells you to do more than you do. And so then I started working in the grants office in addition to running the program. And that was really fun because I was able to review hundreds of different grants that were coming through from Colorado. And the Philanthropy Foundation is wonderful because they award over $200 million worth of grants to the state of Colorado a year. So that was very rewarding getting to be a part of that. So that's my experience. It's very strange and sporadic and different, but that's
it. It's definitely a lot of experience for sure. So
it's a lot of ping-ponging, I think.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
So I feel like we kind of know the answer to this question. But when you were starting out in your career, did you expect to be in your current position?
Of course not. Like everyone says, of course you don't expect to be in your current position. I actually had an archaeology job lined up on Maui. That's where I'm from. If you all don't know that, I met with an archaeologist there. She showed me around some of the sites she was on over Christmas break. And I was going to go. I was going to move home. It was going to be great. And then I met my husband. And then I decided to stay. But that was fine. I don't hold a grudge over him or anything like that. It's fine. But that pretty much things just went from there. We got married and then we had Violet, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I really wanted a family. That was a big part of my career and life. I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to have a husband and a big house and all the things. But I mean, obviously, it would be great to live on Maui again. It is just very, very expensive. So I enjoy visiting. But even though I transitioned so much, I will say that it was the best decision I've ever made. And now I'm back into the field that I love, and I've really fallen in love with programming through my time in my career. And the transition, not going to Maui, has really shaped exactly what I wanted to do. So I sometimes think like, oh my goodness, what would I be doing right now if I was living in Hawaii? And it's hard not to do the what ifs, but I'm very happy and very blessed to be where I am today. So yeah, that's that one.
I mean, all of us peer mentors, I can assure you, are very glad that you are where you are as well.
Well, we went on our fun little ice skating adventure over the weekend, and the next peer mentor trip they've suggested going to Maui. So we're gonna work on that, right? Yeah. Well, don't think that's happening. They're like, yeah, we'll just stay where you stay. I'm like, I stay on my mom's couch in her 1-bedroom apartment, so I don't really know where you all will stay.
Only after the Great Wolf Lodge trip.
Oh, right. That's true. We're going on all these trips that we don't have funding for.
It's okay. Funding is just a secondary problem.
Exactly. We'll write a grant.
Emily, I'm still waiting for my golf cart on campus. That was a request I put in 2 years ago.
Oh,
I think the LLP needs 2 golf carts and we should regularly race them. I mean, I think that's a fantastic use of the budget.
But remember, we didn't have a place for them. We needed a garage as well as
my dorm. Come on. Let's go back to the dorm.
We'll just like let it park in the LLP dance studio storage. It'll be fine.
You can just get rid of the grand piano that's back there and put the golf carts in.
You don't need a grand piano. It's fine, right, guys?
Yeah. Alrighty, so my next question is, what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, that's always a fun question. You know, as a coordinator, everything is very different. And I love that. I absolutely loved working the grants office at LPMR Foundation, but it was the exact same thing every day. Yes, I got new content and I was able to review different stories, which always put me to tears. I'm glad I'm not in that field anymore because I wanted to offer everyone the money. My boss is like, okay, no, let's let's really think about it. I'm like, no, but they have a sweet story. So I was not cut out for that job. But it was the exact same process. You do this and then you do this and then you do this and then you send it and then you do like it's just over and over again. There was nothing new. It was very tedious. And so in this job, I love it because every day is different. The only thing that is consistent is answering emails. Like that's the only thing that is consistent. Um, I'm very big on to-do lists and logistics checklists, as some of my peer mentors know that word that I like to use sometimes. Um, and so it's really whatever's most important. A previous position, my boss called it his win list, his what's important now list. And so I still use that today. I kind of, you star the most important things, or you try and put them at the top. So I'm constantly wanting to know what's important now, when are my deadlines, what do I have to send out for you all to know that there's an event coming up, and making sure that all of that is planned out. So on the LLP side, also, you think of it as a very large picture. It's like a 3-year progress of the program. So you're looking at the year before and how you can improve. You're looking at the current year and the programming that you're doing in that year. And then you're looking to the future for recruitment purposes or how to enhance what we're already doing now. So that's always running through my mind as this 3-year process. Sorry, I heard a child. That's the other part of my daily tasks. Our 2 children at home, so that's always fun. So then I'm working with students, I'm texting them, I'm on my group me every day, sending peer mentors reminders, which is always fun. I'm communicating with you all. I'm sending out emails to get faculty and staff or community partners to collaborate with us for art talks like this. I'm going shopping all the time. You guys, you have no idea how much I go shopping. I can't even shop for myself because I'm burnt out. I go to Walmart and Michael's, Sam's Club, like we go shopping. It's always wanting to make sure we have all the supplies for all of the programs. I'm also serving on committees with the university. So I was on the health and wellness committee for CFA before COVID. I was also working on an alumni committee that had to kind of take a pause because of COVID. I go to numerous meetings within CFA and also with Res Life. I work a lot with Residence Life and with Dominique, your RD, and with other LLP partners. So other people that are in my position, we come together monthly just to talk about recruitment or programming or special funding that we might receive, which is always appreciated. And then I'm also meeting with peer mentors monthly, and we have our weekly class on Friday. So I'm preparing for that and making sure our calendars are ready, which we have our new March calendar now. So it's always fun to be at the beginning of the year to kind of get things rolling for the month. And then on the summer program side, I'm scheduling spaces for summer programs and camps. So there's a dance intensive, there's a musical theater intensive over the summer. Dr. Martina Vassal has a couple of summer programs that I assist her with through events, making sure that she has the space she needs. And then again, I'm the liaison for GSA, so I'm connecting GSA and UK together through the UK housing, making sure that students have their houses or rooms ready for GSA, dining, events, UKPD, making sure they know everything's going on, campus access to make sure people have access to spaces, and talking with faculty and staff to make sure that the building is available for these different programs that they have for GSA. So it's a lot, but I love it. It's fun. I like being bored, so.
Yep, I know exactly how you feel. Same. So next question. What is one piece of advice that you would give to a young artist or student from your past experience?
Oh, that's a hard one. A lot of people on these art talks have talked about networking, which is extremely important. I will say that one of the reasons why I got this job was from Dr. Rachel Shane. I emailed her and said, hey, I'm applying for this position. She wrote me a letter of recommendation, and she walked down from her office to David Kaiser's office and said, I am in full support of Emily Elkins. I was like, oh. And so I thank her all the time. Like, that she was so helpful for that. So networking, yes, absolutely, very important. And reaching out and not feeling nervous or feel bad for reaching out for a letter of recommendation. Like, I try to write people letter recommendations all the time, because I remember being that student, like, do you think you could write this? Or do you think you could write the same one that you had just for a different job? You all know how easy that is. All you have to do is change a few things in the letter, and then wham, bam, boom, send another PDF. So easy. Like, I'm okay with doing that. So don't feel bad for asking for maybe 2 or 3 different letters, because you're not just going to apply for one job when you're job hunting. You're applying for multiple jobs. And you can't have this letter say, to whom it may concern, I fully support this person in this position. No, it has to be catered, to the job that you're applying for. And so ask the person who wrote you one a year ago, like, hey, do you still have that? And if you do, would you mind changing a few things? They have it saved, I promise you. They save everything. They'll reword it a little bit and send it back. Like, it's no big deal. Just give them enough time to do it. I stress that. And then the last piece of advice, another piece of advice would be take the risk. I took so many risks in my career. I did not feel prepared. I did not feel adequate enough to be in the positions that I was in. And I did it. I took the risk, and it's really paid off. It's got me to where I am today. So it's either from completely changing my career path or taking a job that, like, I was nervous about. When I applied for the position at LPMR Foundation, I left that job, or the interview, and I was like, oh my gosh, if he offers this to me, I'm going to be scared out of my mind for months. But I had that, that inner strength of, no, I'm going to show everybody that I can do this. And it worked out, and it was an amazing opportunity, and it was really a stepping stone. So take the risk, apply for the job, ask the person, like, don't feel bad about it. And the worst they're going to say is no. And that took me a long time to realize that they're not going to be mad that you asked. They'll nicely say no, or they might say yes. Like, you never know. So take the risk, ask the person. That's my advice. Hope that's helpful.
Awesome. Yeah. So next question. What do you consider to be your most successful career move or moment?
I think it was applying for the master's program at UK, because that was really like the start of, I'm changing what I'm doing for a living. And I'm going in a completely, it's a similar direction, but a little bit different. And when I first started my classes with a newborn, I was panicked. I was like, oh, this was a really bad idea. I think maybe I don't know what I'm doing. And again, I couldn't really relate. Some of the questions and material that was being thrown at me was very different from what I was used to. I was used to, counting pottery pieces and helping people understand why they had different things in their hearths and why trash is important. And so trying to then connect that to arts administration was really difficult. And so I had quite a few panic moments. But I really think that when I started that program and then continued it through life and to get the degree, I think that was probably the most defining moment. And then I guess I have 2. The second one would be taking that position at LPMR Foundation, because it was very out of my comfort zone, and it wasn't in the arts sector, but it was in the programming and the volunteering and education sector. And so I was still very interested in it, but I felt a little bit out of my comfort zone because I didn't know the content as well. but I knew how to be a coordinator and I knew how to be a volunteer manager. Like I knew those things, but just the content was a little difficult, but it really was very rewarding, and working with community partners that I'm still friends with today. They're wonderful people out in Colorado doing great things. And I got to learn more about the grant writing world and how grants are reviewed. So it's great for, hopefully I'll write a grant one day. It's on my 3-year plan for the LLP, but knowing what they are looking for, I hope it's going to be like an in for if I start writing grants, and hopefully I'll get one. I'll have to ask Anna for her support because she obviously is master grant writer. So maybe I'll ask her help for it. But I just thought those were very important parts of my career. Oh, there's Anna. I see you. You're going to help me write a grant later.
Awesome. So next one might be a little bit out of the range of your current position. But what role does an artist like you play in our society?
So I would consider myself as an art dabbler. I mean, I'm obviously not a dabble. I like to craft. I like to sing in choirs. I used to like to be on stage. I think I'm too nervous now to do any of that, but I do consider myself an arts advocate. So as an arts advocate, and from my background in anthropology, I see how art really affects cultures and how every single culture known to man has had art, and how important that is to their society and the way that they view the world, and how important it is now. And I feel like as an advocate for the arts, I'm helping young students like you all. So you all are the artists. You all are the ones that are going to go out and create someday, and you're going to dance, and you're going to paint, and you're going to sing. And so I'm there to support you. So it's different than being in an arts organization where I'm supporting a mission. I feel like you all are the mission. And so I'm supporting you guys in your endeavors and helping you learn about how to get a career in the arts, or to collaborate with one another or with other faculty or staff members or artists in our society. So art is needed and it's important. So I'm a big advocate for that. And our youth are where art will continue.
Definitely, yeah. So what encourages or inspires you in your job?
You guys, like, I'm serious. Just seeing you all just in action and getting to come to some of the performances. And I mean, before COVID, when we first started, do you all remember the Creative Connections in early week? I know it was a little bit different than what we typically do, but the first Creative Connections, it was all obviously in person in 2018. And all the groups came back together to perform for one another. And the first group, or one of the groups, they created a song and had musicians and singers, and I was just like, wow. Like I was blown away. And then getting to go and see all of you perform, like obviously pre-COVID, like seeing Mason perform, and I think I've seen Devin on stage. I think I've seen Katie. Like I go to all the performances and I love it. It's really energizing, and it makes me feel like I'm back in school again almost. So it's great to be around creative people again, I guess. And so I love to see all of our peer mentors like working on programming and being so successful in that endeavor, and then also getting collaborations within the program. So you all are really inspiring. And I tell my peer mentors, I don't know if I've told this group, but I feel like Mr. Schuster on Glee, just not with singing. Like I'm just like, I'm just the Mr. Schuster, and I get you all together and you all do great things, and I'm just there supporting you. So.
Well, that is very sweet. So my final question for you is, what would you like to do next? Like, what goals do you have?
Okay, so I remember when I was at the museum in Colorado, I was already looking for something else to enhance my career, because I was just getting used to being in the field and I was learning and I needed more experience. And so I was ready for the next step. And then the same thing at the foundation. I was not in an arts field, so I was looking for something to be in the next step to get back into the arts field. It's like I didn't find my calling, so to speak. I was still looking and searching for that. But now that I'm in this position, I can honestly say that I've found my dream job. I absolutely love it here. I love everything that I do. And I really don't see myself going anywhere for a very long time. So that is also exciting because being an Army spouse was hard because we didn't really know where we were going and what we were doing. And my husband actually got out of the Army before his contract ended just because he was medically excused. He blew out his knee, so he was unable to do his job anymore. Yeah, and I mean, he's fine. Everything's good. I'm glad he's safe and home and not out defending the country. But it was hard having the unknown and having to realize like, oh, we may be moving to another new place and I'll have to do this all over again. I'll have to make the connections. I'll have to network again. Like it was extremely stressful for me. And so the fact that I'm like in a spot where I can stay, like we bought a house and we're not going anywhere, like is very, very exciting to me. And so like feeling that in my like personal life and then also feeling it in my professional life is really great. And CFA is such an amazing place to work. I feel very blessed being surrounded by so many creative and caring people. And COVID really has shown me how amazing they are because I mean, I have 2 young children and I never had to be furloughed. I was supported through the entire time. I was home with 2 rambunctious, crazy children working till 2 in the morning, and they were still there supporting me through via Zoom, but they were still there and supporting me. So I'm very happy where I am. But in my position, I hope to grow multiple things. So I'm continuously wanting to grow the peer mentor position and giving more opportunities for those mentors. And then also shaping the second year experience. We had a pilot EXP course, and I created my own actual curriculum for a FA 399 course for next year. So please pray that it goes through and gets approved by the Senate. I had no idea what I was doing, but I did it. So I hope that will be an offering for this fall. And then thinking of summer programs and how I can enhance that after GSA has completed its 4 years here. Not sure if they're going to, if either parties are wanting to continue. It's been a great experience so far, so I'm hoping that will continue, but also increasing our offerings to the community at a discounted rate, and potentially having it K through 12 as an interdisciplinary like arts camp for students, especially for students who might not have that many opportunities in their home school to be able to learn more about arts. So it would be a variety of dance and music and visual arts. And then hiring students like yourself to work at this camp. So that is my dream. And hopefully I'll be able to make it into a reality in the next few years. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, I think that sounds like a great plan. And if you ever want somebody to come work at that camp, I will gladly apply.
Okay. I will house students in Holmes Hall, so you all will be very familiar with the layout and the space.
Yay. So that is all the questions that I have. If anyone else has any questions for Emily, feel free to unmute yourself. You can send a private message to me and I'll ask you. So just ask away.
I don't really have a question, but I just wanted to say how much I appreciate your work with the LLP and how much of a supplement it is to my fine arts education here. And all the things that you guys keep coming up with, the peer mentors, everyone else involved. You guys are really amazing and you guys are doing amazing things. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I just help steer the ship. It's the peer mentors really that they're coming up with the awesome ideas, but thank you for that. Yes, Dorian.
Hi there. So I had a question. So you seem like you're a very busy woman from all you're talking about. So I know it can be hard to stay motivated to keep doing work because me especially like right now, especially with COVID and all that, I had a few issues like staying motivated to keep on the grind as a music education student because there's a lot of work you got to put in to keep your keep up the work with your major, and I'm sure that's like it's like that for all majors. So what have you found in your experience that keeps you motivated to keep like pushing onward to get the task done, I guess?
That is a great question. I will say through COVID, it was rough. I'm a very extroverted person, if you can't tell. And so that social contact for me was very depressing. Like I really went through quite a bit mentally to kind of get myself to even open my computer sometimes. So I completely get that. Honestly, being around people and bouncing ideas off one another and just kind of talking with other creative people is probably one of the biggest ways that I continue to push forward. We I was having quite a bit of struggle before the spring semester started, and we had an LLP meeting with some of our LLP partners, and they were doing sharing about what some of the other communities were working on. And I was just, I was down in the dumps. I was just like, I don't want to do this. I'm stuck at home. I'm in my pajamas. I'm not going anywhere. I have 2 children running around. Like, I don't want to do this. And I went to that meeting, and people started sharing some of their ideas, and I started jotting things down. And that really energized me into like, oh, wow, I could do this. But I know that I can't do these fun things until I get the work done. So really kind of prioritizing my time is huge for me. I don't like to do the boring work. I will be honest, like looking at the Excels and managing the rosters and finance and making sure I have enough in my budget. I don't like any of that. I like the fun stuff. I want to coordinate the art talks. I want to help make the posters. Like I want to do all the fun things. And so kind of giving myself discipline to do the hard things, knowing that the fun things are coming up. So just trying to be, I guess, positive. And if I get through this, then I'll get to do this fun thing. Or even rewarding yourself with like Netflix. Like if I get this assignment done, or if I can get this project completed, I'm going to binge watch whatever show. Like I've done that to myself too. Like it's just it's very hard. And right now, you guys, I have no idea how you all are doing this through COVID. Like as a professional, I'm struggling. So as a student, like remembering when I was taking classes in undergrad and trying to do all of this over Zoom and managing all these schedules, like props off to you all. Like just completely baffled and just so impressed with you guys. So I don't know if that even answered your question, but just being around creative people just to kind of get your brain going again, and then prioritizing the not so fun stuff and then getting to do the fun stuff after. Hope that helps.
Yes, it did. Thank you very much.
Sure.
I have a question, and you might have answered this, and I might just like not have been able to condense it in my brain. But why did you choose arts administration, like after having already had different types of experiences? Because obviously it's led you to a good place that you're happy with, but why did you choose it in the first place?
So I guess I didn't really touch on this, so I'm glad you asked this question. Towards the end of my time at the archaeology lab, I was leaning towards that curation piece and being behind the scenes and not going in the field anymore. Like I didn't really care for that to begin with, but I did it because the job was interesting. And so I was trying to think of ways that I could still be even in a museum field, but still work behind the scenes. That kind of the research led me to arts admin. I was thinking about doing curation, and I kind of did pros and cons with that because curation is very specified, and I wanted to kind of like open up my ability to be able to work maybe in a theater or to work still in a museum, but maybe not in that capacity. so it kind of, that's where it started, because I wanted to work in a museum. I loved the objects. I loved the stories that I could tell from those objects. And then as my career moved on, working on programming and working with the public, that's kind of, it morphed itself, I guess, onto what I really enjoy now. Does that answer your question? Okay, cool.
So you're talking about how your, like, I guess your thinking probably changed when you switched to arts admin, along with like just trying to accommodate the classes. So like, how did it change from archaeology to arts admin? Because you said something along the lines of like, they don't really talk about the cultures behind the art anymore. But honestly, that's what I figured arts admin was in the first place. So I'm wondering about that.
So coming from an archaeology background, they do talk about the culture. They do talk about like the experience and how the arts can support people, and how arts can be available to all, and how we can make that possible. But I guess I was just very in tune with just that archaeology side. I don't even know how to explain it anymore, because I honestly am not that great at archaeology anymore. Like, all the things left my brain. But I was looking at it holistically from a cultural standpoint more than I think others might have been. They were always thinking about society and the way art helps people process things and that sort of thing. But I was looking at it from, I guess, a different lens, a cultural lens, that because anthropology really helps you like put yourself in someone else's shoes because of their culture. And so understanding that someone might view this art or this production differently than someone else, that's how my way of thinking was. I don't know if that answered it, because I don't really remember much of the details of archaeology anymore. I have too much in my brain now. But it was just a different lens, I guess. But it was great conversations, because it really opened it up to those who might not be thinking of that huge cultural aspect. So we had really in-depth discussion board conversations throughout my graduate degree. Yes, Mason.
I have two questions.
Oh, goodness.
First of all, would you be open to past peer mentors coming in and assisting in projects? Because if so, peer mentors, write that down. I'm more than happy to help with anything you guys have.
I love that idea. Actually, later this month, this month and next month, we have an art talk panel with students. So I will be emailing you if you are interested in participating. Yes,
I would love to.
Wonderful. I would absolutely love that. Another goal of mine, I forgot to mention this, in 5 years, I want to have a peer mentor reunion. I want to have the cohorts of the peer mentors who have participated to come back and kind of share their stories and see where they are now and what they're doing, and talk to the current LLP students to just kind of like an art talk, to see where they are and how the LLP helped them, I guess. So that is in the works too, after COVID.
Absolutely. I mean, you helped me get Peer Mentor of the Year.
Yes.
That still doesn't feel real. I don't remember that.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that feels like it was forever ago. Yes, Mason is Peer Mentor of the Year, 2019 to 2020. So, great job.
I didn't know that was a thing until I got that email about it.
Yes. And actually, the LLP won last year too. So you won and the LLP. We dominated.
We swept everything.
Pretty much.
And then Holmes got some awards that we should have gotten, but yeah, I digress. My second question.
Sure.
How are Rosie and Violet?
Oh, they're so good. Oh my.
I haven't seen them in so long.
Oh, I mean, Violet has been home with me since March. So, you know,
lots of energy.
She's got, yes.
Lots of modern dance energy going on with her.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so she is doing great. Rosie is 20 months old, and she likes to dance, and she runs around and chases our cat all over the place. She's trying to talk, but she mostly just makes grunts and says and communicate, but that's okay. And she loves her sister. But I mean, Violet is she's not bossy. She's going to be a leader one day. And
She's a
so
girl boss.
she's a girl boss. And so Rosie sometimes doesn't care for that very much, but otherwise they're doing great. Thanks for asking.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, that's really it for me. So I'm
Okay.
gonna politely hop off. Please email me. I'm
I
always
will
open
email
to
you.
collabing.
Thanks
Have
for
a good
joining.
day.
How did you know to join? Who told you?
I sense everything. Shh, Katie, put your hand
He
down.
he texted me and he was like, "Hey, what are you doing right now?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm on an art talk with Emily." And he was like, "With Emily? Can you send me the Zoom link?" And I was like, "It is coming your way."
Oh, well, I'm so glad you hopped on. I appreciate you joining.
Absolutely. All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye. Katie, did you have a question?
I just had to tell you this just
Okay.
really quickly. It's totally not a question, but at the meeting on Friday, so Violet was just kind of attached to my hip, and it's just because I have Jasper, and I love that so much. And so she was looking at him. She's like, "What's in your bag?" She's talking about my fanny pack, and I was like, "Oh, these are all Jasper's treats." And so I was explaining to her about Jasper's treats because he has kibble, and then he has like these high value treats that are like the best treats in the whole world. And so she was like, "So he likes these better than these?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." I was like, "Smell it. It smells gross," which means it tastes good to him. And she smells it and she's like, "That's stinky." And I was like, "Yeah, it's gross." And she was like, "So how come it tastes better than his dog food?" And I was like, "I think that his fancy treats are kind of like eating a hamburger for us. Like it's like nice yummy food is a hamburger." So then she started calling his treats Jasper's hamburgers. And so she would give him, like, she would walk over to me, pick a treat out of the treat pouch, hand it to him, and she'd go, "Yeah, you like those hamburgers, don't you?" And she just said that the whole time. She'd just walk by, grab a little hamburger, and then she'd say, "Yeah, Jasper, you love your hamburgers." So I just had to tell you that because I didn't tell you that on Friday, and I just can't stop thinking about Jasper's hamburgers. So do with that information what you will.
That's another thing right now. Violet is not in school and I do not have anywhere to take her. So she's been enjoying our peer mentor meetings on Friday at 8 a.m. She absolutely loves coming to see the students. And she always wants to know where they all are anytime she sees them on campus. Like Katie, we saw you yesterday. Was that yesterday? It was.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Yeah, she told me that you didn't pay attention to the meeting on Friday too because you were too busy playing with her and Jasper. So she told on you.
I mean, she called me out just a little bit. She's my partner in crime. What can I say? If I'm going down, I'm taking her with me. This is a 50-50 ship here. Okay. So Emily, I'm tattling on Violet right now. Violet made sure that I was not paying attention on the meeting on Friday. So
Oh my goodness. I will make sure to tell her. Oh, okay. Any other questions?
I have a question for you. Okay. So, over your past few years as LLP coordinator, what has been probably your favorite event that the peer mentors have put on? And you can pick a few, like a top 3 or top 5 or something.
Okay, top 3. I can do top 3. Probably this year's coffee house. I mean, even though it was COVID, that was probably the best coffee house we've had. It was the first one outdoors. It definitely had a festival feel, which was really cool. All the coffee houses I love, but that one was probably the best. Also, the first year that we did our murder mystery, I will say that one was probably number 2 because it was 1920s themed and I loved themed things and I love 1920s. And it was more collaborative than last year's because they went to different rooms and we kind of had that with the following the second year I was in. It was more of a circus. Holly did hula lessons. Yes, I did do hula lessons. Oh no. So top 2, I guess, was the murder mysteries. And then the third one is just early week. Absolutely love early week. I love getting to see all the faces and to get to plan all of these fun activities. I know some people have called it summer camp, but you know what? I don't care. That's how you all get to know one another and you're really just kind of thrown in together to learn more about the LLP and get to do fun things. And I remember my freshman year of college, I knew my roommate, and that was it for a long time. And so just getting to see you all connecting with one another and kind of helping you form those early connections it's just really fun every year, no matter if it's a COVID year or not. And then just seeing what's produced from it, that's just so amazing. But yeah, I guess those are my top 3. All of them are great, but those are fun. I used to come to a lot more events than I do now, with kids, and my husband is a truck driver now. So like I just heard him come in like 20 minutes ago. So he's been gone all day long and all evening. So it's been harder to come to things, but I am coming to prom and I'm very excited about that. Yes, Katie.
Sorry, this time I actually do have a question. So I know that there are at least 2, well, actually, technically, there's at least 4 people on this Zoom who are applying to either be off campus or on campus peer mentors next year. So could you just give maybe a little insight as to what the interview process might look like, or what you think would be some words of wisdom for our interviews that might be coming up soon?
Ooh, Katie, that is an excellent question. So I don't know if I've sent out requests for people to be interviewed. So if you haven't got one yet, that doesn't mean that you're not being interviewed. That just means that they haven't sent them out yet, because I see a lot of you on here. I've sent you all requests to be interviewed, so don't worry. Unfortunately, the process this year is on Zoom, which is no fun, but it's okay. We'll get through it. It will just be me, so there won't, oh, actually, that's a lie. Genesis Lorajust, who was a peer mentor for 2 years, will be on most of the calls, so she'll join in. And a lot of the questions are really just to get to know you. I want to know what you like to do. I want to know what things you're involved with currently on campus and what you plan to be doing on campus in the fall, along with your credit hours. I want to know, gosh, I'm going to give you way too much. I'm going to only give you 2 more things. I want to know how you can multitask and examples of how you multitask. And then last thing, I want to know why you want to be a peer mentor. Like, tell me why. What is it that sparked your interest to apply? What do you think you can contribute? Things like that. Sell yourself. Like, that sounds so silly, but that's what you're supposed to do in an interview. You're supposed to say, like, I've done this, and this is great about me, and I know I can do this. Like, be confident, and also don't be nervous. Like, I'm like a goofy, normal person. Please don't be nervous. Every year, everyone is always so nervous, and it makes me so sad because I feel your pain. Like, I cannot stand interviews. It is like the absolute worst thing on the planet. So don't be nervous. We're just having conversation. And don't be nervous. It'll be fine. Okay?
Okay. I just have to share a piece of wisdom that I was given in high school about interviews.
Yeah.
If you can answer the question, what part of a cheeseburger would you be and why? And you can answer that like with a thoughtful answer, which I'm going to be asking anyone who comes to the mock interviews next Sunday, I will be asking you that question. So if you can answer that question, you can answer any question in an interview. I promise you that.
I've never been asked that question.
I was asked that my senior year when I applied to be section leader for band, and it was a interesting conversation to be had. So
maybe I need to add that to my list of questions.
It's a great, because never mind. I'll talk to you about it later. It's
okay.
Anyways, we had an anonymous question, and they would like to know if you will be at the LL Play on Saturday.
That is at 6, right?
Yes.
I am going to try. I would love to, because I like to see things in person, and I know you all have been working hard. I will try. It depends on my family, but I will definitely try. And if not, I want to watch the recording or whatever Lilia has planned. So. And then also one more thing about interviews. If you are nervous about an upcoming interview, peer mentor or not, we do our mock interviews this Sunday, correct, from 4 to 5 in the art studio. And so peer mentors will be there for the first half to kind of talk about some questions that are typically asked in an interview process, and then break off for mock interviews, and a peer mentor will interview you so you can feel more comfortable. So please come to that if you have an upcoming interview, wink, wink, between the 8th and the 10th, or any other interview that you may be needing to practice for. Make sure you come to that.
Well, if nobody else has any final questions, I'll pause for like 5 seconds.
I have a question.
Sure.
So before you started working in the LLP, or like while you were applying, I guess, or thinking about it, were you nervous to like be working with college students, since I guess that's kind of not a typical not coworkers, but normal people that you'd work with?
Yes, I was, because I felt like I didn't have that much experience working with college students. I worked with a variety of volunteers, but most of them were in the upper 50s range. So that it was definitely a shift. I remember my mom telling me that, oh, you were in college not too long ago, like you'll be able to relate to them. I'm like, oh, well, not really. Like I'm a little bit older now. Like she must think that I'm always going to be 18. So I was a little nervous, but I also have not managed this many employees before. I typically managed volunteers, so they didn't have to do what I said. But with employees, you're kind of voluntold to do things. And so I was slightly nervous about being a boss, or being a supervisor in that capacity. But I really tried to take my previous supervisors, the good and the bad, and try to form that into the way that I supervise my team. And I feel like I'm a little bit too forgiving sometimes, but that's okay because we're all learning, and my students are in college. And I mean, this is the place that you're supposed to learn, and you're supposed to sometimes forget things and forget to do a pre-program sheet and all those things, you guys. But it happens to everyone. It happens to me. And so like I own my mistakes. Like I completely forgot this. I am so sorry. But yes, I was slightly nervous because I've done like preschool, kindergarten, and then really old volunteers who are like retirees, and I've never worked with college students before. So yes, but I think it's going well. Hopefully. And then Holly, I will announce that I guess maybe next month I'll do more hula dance lessons.
If she doesn't do hula dances, I will make sure that we have an event just dedicated to her teaching a hula dance. Because honestly, it was the most fun thing last year. She had Rosie like strapped onto her, teaching us how to hula. It was a lot of fun. So we'll do it again at some point.
It was miserable. So no, I will not be bringing my children this time. I think it's just because I've had the past 2 years I've done it. The first year I was pregnant and didn't tell, like no one knew I was pregnant, and I was very, very ill, and we were doing our hula lessons, and I'm like, oh, this is just terrible. So that was year one. And then year two, yeah, I had the baby strapped to me, the older one running around, not wanting to listen and holding onto the bars like a monkey. So I will do it in April, and I will. Oh, good. Holly will bring her lei. We also have fake leis, and so we'll make sure we make a big party out of it. I will do it. No children. Okay.
Well, I think this is a good stopping point. If anyone has any questions, I'm sure Emily will be more than happy to answer them at a later time. But I would like to thank Emily, one, for coming and doing this talk, as well as two, for being a great LLP coordinator, the best LLP coordinator, and just thank everyone else for being here tonight, and have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you all. Thanks for sticking around till 8. My goodness. Bye.